All right, Joe. So I'm going through it. We decided, I can't remember, was it the last podcast or the one before, that we were actually going to get away from simplistic fitness advice, right?
I think it was the last one that we recorded. I'm not sure if it's the last one that posted, but yeah, this has been the recent conversation.
And where this came from, and I've actually been having an identity crisis with it. I've kind of always prided myself as the guy, and you get this too, because you've got that Midwestern work ethic that, like, if I just show up and work hard every day and I eat right and I try to focus on sleep, that everything else will take care of itself. And it's the last 2%, and everything is a hack and a gimmick and a scam, 3 easy payments of $9.99. And I was speaking at Strong, New York, and I was specifically asked what my daily routine looks like. And as I spit out my daily routine, and we're talking like what supplements I take, how I set my bed up, all these things, I realized there was a big gap and a lot of cognitive dissonance between what I tell people to do and what I actually do myself, right? And so,
I want to touch on that real quick, because I think that's a really, really key point to make. And I don't feel like we can really move on giving higher level advice until we address this. But if somebody comes to me or comes to you and has no fitness background, they've never been athletic, they've always been overweight, they're not in good shape, they're maybe not even in good health, and they say, well, what do I need to do to get to where you are, is a very different question than what do you do to stay where you are. Like, the answer to that is not going to be the same. And I think that's where that disconnect lies of what, you have to tell the person that you're working with. When you're a coach, the goal is, what is your goal and how do you get there? It doesn't mean you do what I do. And I find a lot of coaches do that. A lot of coaches just tell people, well, I take these 12 supplements and I work out twice a day and I do this and I do that, and that's what you need to do. I don't know. That's probably not the best answer.
No. And here's where it really got me. It was talking about sleep, of all things. So what I want to say, and what we've said in the podcast before, is you just need to sleep 8 hours a night. You need to go to bed earlier. And then we move on, and it's like, I just assume everybody is not sleeping enough, and all they need to do is like shut off. We've said this a million times. Shut off your ESPN and go to bed. Stop watching the Real Housewives or the Secret Lives of Mormon Housewives or whatever you're into, and just go to bed, right? That you don't have to power watch season 4 of The Witcher tonight, even though I really, really want to. But this is the advice I give people. And someone asked me about my sleep routine. And like, I'm thinking about it, Joe. And we had a furnace company come in to look at installing a separate air conditioning unit that like vented to the outside on our wall in the bedroom, because I want to sleep at 63 degrees. We didn't go with that. We went with an in-window version. And then we got a thing called the bed jet that actually is like this blanket that goes over your bed, and you have like an air conditioner box that pumps cold air into the covers so you can sleep at a precise 63 degrees. And I started wearing socks to bed because you're supposed to have warm feet and you're supposed to have a cold head. And then my bed's oriented so that my head faces the north, in case there's any truth to this magnetic lee lines to the earth thing, which the pyramids are built on. It's like this whole thing. And I do take sleep supplements before bed, and I do all these things. And I'm like, wow, I am miles away from the advice I give on my podcast. It's like, shut off your ESPN and go to bed, except you got to take this sleep supplement. You got to take this sleep supplement. You got to make sure your room's 63 degrees, but that's too cold for the rest of the family. So you need to invest thousands of dollars in this like bed machine and this other air conditioner. I'm like, okay, listen, I need to have like a moment where I actually just tell people what I do versus like, just eat right and work out and take your vitamins and you're good. Like I said,
maybe the answer is like, well, here's what I do, and you can figure out the rest. You'll know your point A, and I'm point B, and you just got to connect the dots.
And the truth is, if someone wanted to jump in at a high level, it wouldn't hurt them. Like if I was to tell you the supplements I take, and I was to say, Joe, I take vitamin D, I take creatine, I take NAD, I take protein, I take glutamine. Like that would never hurt anybody. It's good, sound, solid advice. I think we were operating from here's the way I want to word this. Don't ask me about nutrition if you didn't eat your breakfast. Like that's where I was operating from. It's like, why are you asking me about what temperature your room needs to be when you drank 12 adult beverages last night, ate a bag of Doritos, and you haven't walked in 3 months? Like, why is that the thing? And it's almost the anti-podcast bro culture. But I do realize there's like a lot of value in science, and there's a lot of things that you and I do. Like even you bought a sauna for your house. That wasn't an inexpensive purchase. That was like a big thing for you. And you sauna literally every single day. But I feel like on the podcast, we're like, why would you buy a sauna? Don't, just like walk more. And it's like, well, no, there's like, okay, so here we are. You know what I'm saying?
I always thought, I guess I kind of took it from this attitude. Think of like a Theragun, right? Like the little massage gun. Super cool. They feel great. But most people don't need a Theragun. Like they just need to like work out smart and do a little bit of recovery. And they don't. And then the Theragun comes in as like the thing that fixes them. But it's like, well, you did nothing to not need that. And it's like, if you're training hard enough that you absolutely need to use a power tool to help loosen up your quads, I mean, good on you. But like, you got to train that hard first. You don't just show up to CrossFit for one day and then go out and buy a Theragun, right? It's like kind of putting the cart before the horse. But again, I do think, we should probably talk about it because I have one. I use it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I agree with you. So on that note, today, I want to talk about 3 supplements that are actually beneficial that can help you. And you definitely need to look into as you age. And age is a huge, huge component of this, because I feel that at 47 years old, and this is where I'm suffering from an identity crisis too. You can see in the background the UFC shorts, right? And you can like see me on the UFC booklet. That was 2006. I forget I was 27 years old. And there are times, Joe, I still think I'm that guy. Right? Like I remember, actually, it's a really funny story, being in the Ultimate Fighter house at age 30. And I remember going home from one of the training sessions and sitting on the couch next to a guy who's become like a lifelong friend from the show, Zach Pounga. And I literally looked at him and I go, I can't believe I'm saying this. And I hope they don't like put this on camera. And it's going to be on camera because you got everything on you, right? There's 19 million cameras in the house, but I'm struggling. Are you struggling? And he literally looks at me and he goes, I'm 37 years old. I have no idea how you're doing this at 45. And I'm like, really? And it was just, Joe, it was a moment of like thinking about what went on in that show, sparring with some of the guys. I'm like, they're fast. Like I almost had a moment of like, was I ever this fast? Was I slow? Did I fight in a different era? Like, am I not the person? Because in my head, like without looking in the mirror, like I'm looking at the camera and I'm like looking down at our screen as we recorded stuff. And I'm like, I'm very conscious that I don't look like this dude anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't perform like that.
Something's changed, right?
But like inside, I feel like the same guy. I actually went over some of my fitness numbers. That dude could deadlift 600 pounds and run a 10K in 45 minutes. This guy, I could walk a 10K in an hour. I mean, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I haven't fallen that far. I am not that dude anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Even I was so proud of myself the other day because I did 100 pull-ups, push-ups, and dips in 20 minutes. And I'm like, I'm back, baby. That dude use 300 in an hour at the Global Gym, get 3 phone numbers, have a tan, and buy a smoothie in the same time constraints. And it's like, okay, so as I get older, and the point I'm trying to get at being funny is we just have to pay attention to more. Like the margins aren't there.
Yes, exactly. And I think aging is like the tide, right? Like it's going to catch up to all of us. It doesn't take a lot to swim against it. Like the tide's not the strongest pull in the ocean. So you can find a way to stay afloat. But with those margins constantly shrinking year over year over year, the little things that you can do are going to become much more impactful.
Yep.
And realistically, and I think we've both have found this out because I turned 47 just as recently as you did, the recovery isn't there. The ability to go in and just throw yourself on the fire day after day after day diminishes. So you just cannot do the same volume and the same intensity that you used to. So you can't rely on that. You can't say, well, I can eat whatever I want because I'm just going to burn off another 1,000 calories in my second workout of the day, because you just don't have the capacity to do that anymore. So you have to dial that in on nutrition. And again, with shrinking margins, those little things, those little tricks, those little hacks, they do play a much bigger role than they did 20 years ago.
And it's funny because, like, as we talk, I hate saying this because I hate admitting we're old. Like, that's hard for me. And I'm trying to be real about this, right? Like, I still think I'm one of the fitter people on the planet, but like, compared to what, compared to who, and all the things, like, I'm just trying to be 100% transparent. But what would happen to you? Like, do you remember what you used to do when you were elite taekwondo fighter in university? Like, how hard the days were? Like, what would happen if you tried to run one of those weeks back right now? Like, I don't know if I'd be getting out of bed. I feel, because you have a sauna and you sauna all the time. I feel like if I sauna too long, the next day's a write-off. And it's not really that bad, but it's kind of that bad. And I'm caught in this trap right now. And I promise you we won't go down this rabbit hole for too long, Joe. But like, I feel like I wake up Monday and I'm like, it is Monday. You know what sharks do on Monday? They're sharks. Let's get some. And I work out and I do my jujitsu and I sauna and I work out again. I'm going to have 2 saunas today. And then Tuesday, I'm crippled and like, well, I don't want to train ever again. And then Wednesday, I'm a little bit better. And then Thursday, I'm like, it's Thursday. You know what sharks do on Thursday? They're sharks. And I go hard again. And then it takes me to Monday to recover. And I'm like, I used to do this stuff day after day after day after day after day. And I was going out and I was hanging out and I wasn't eating right. Like, my dinner of choice was I don't know if you Kraft dinner, a box of Kraft mac and cheese. We call Kraft dinner in Canada. And like a dozen hot dogs put up with ketchup. And then we go for wing night and I'm working out the next day and I'm like, I can't do that anymore. But again, the margins are slim. So I've started to, as I've gotten older, I've started certainly looking at these outside the box things. Like when I was 19, I'm like, I don't need vitamin D. I'm just going to like recharge. And you know what I'm talking about? Like, it was like, I just figured I would.
You know what this actually reminds me of? A little bit of a segue, but I think this will lead us more into the topic of the day. But if you think, I play guitar. And if you think about how guys in like the had to learn to play their favorite songs. They would have to sit by the radio with the guitar, wait for their song to come on, try to figure it out. And then when the song was over, their time was up. They had to move on to something else, right? Even if you had like an 8-track recorder, like you had to listen to the whole thing through. There was no rewind, you know? Nowadays, if you want to learn a song, I mean, I saw they have this guitar that has lights on it to tell you where to put your fingers. You just download the music from the internet and it's free. And it's like the amount of work that you have to put in to master something back then versus now is very, very different. So if you look at you and I as guitar maestros, and we're saying, okay, here's what we're doing today and here's why, the goal is to help you save 20 years of trial and error and just learning from our experience.
Yeah. And there is something to that, right? Like, I wish I would have paid more attention to this stuff. So even if you're listening to this podcast and you're 20 years old, you should probably start doing this stuff now. Like, why are you waiting to the point where you're losing a step and trying to hang on? Because that's where I feel like I am. It's like I'm trying to like still be this dude, but I should have started behaving like this when I was that dude, because now I wouldn't be this like old version of this dude. Does that make sense?
Like the younger you would have brought it up to that next level.
Yes.
And you'd still be above where you are now. Like, there's no reason not to.
It's almost like the guys who play the longest in the NBA. The reason LeBron's so good at 40 years old is because he was taking care of himself at 30.
Yeah.
And the reason guys fall apart at 30 is because they weren't taking care of themselves at 20. Like, you've got to go in advance. So all that said, all that preamble, let's talk about 3 supplements today we're going to talk about creatine, we're going to talk about NAD, we're going to talk about vitamin D that are actually extremely beneficial, that I think everyone can benefit from, that are affordable, and that will increase your performance. So let's talk about the one everyone knows about first. Let's go with creatine, Joe. You take creatine, obviously.
Yep, got it. It's in my drink right now.
Okay, so why are we taking creatine? Like, just
so, do we want to get like super nerdy on this? Like in essence, your muscles have to run off of a particular type of fuel, and there's only so much of that fuel in the muscles ready to rock. Once that's gone, your body has to go through a process of like replenishing that. Taking creatine before you work out is like topping off the gas tank. It's just putting that little extra bit in there. It's immediately available, and it's going to help you get that extra rep. You know, as you're failing on your bench press, that little extra push to get that last rep, that's what creatine is going to give you. You know, that last effort where you might have otherwise failed, you're going to be successful. So if you're doing, you know, like German volume training, 10 sets of 10, and you drop off to like 6 to 5 to 4, if you're taking creatine, it might be like 8 to 7 to 6. So it's those extra reps that on a day don't probably add up to a whole lot, but over the course of a year, 2 years, that's thousands of pounds of extra volume. So it's going to have a training effect.
For sure. And that works that way. Like with the extra reps, one of the things I used to talk about is I trained a guy who was an Olympian in the skeleton, right? He was a world champion. He was actually one of the greatest skeleton racers of all time. His name's
That's the one you go head first, right?
Yes.
Luge's feet first. Skeleton's like first. That skeleton's crazy.
As part of the training program for this, and you don't realize this, there's two aspects. There's driving, and Zach is like universally regarded as one of the best drivers of all time. But then there's the strength and conditioning section. And where that applies is that run up to the chute where you run and jump on the board and you go.
Yeah.
And you've got to build up a massive amount of speed. Like that's where they were pulling NFL players to be in bobsleds. Because if you could go really fast, that would save you that 10th or 20th of a second. Well, here's the deal. You only really have 6 to 8 top end sprints in a day. So you make the effort to go to this track. There's only one person allowed on the track at a time. You have limited training time. If you get there and you can only get 5 or 6 or 7 good runs, you're done for the day and you're finished. If you're on creatine and you could get 9 or 10, theoretically over like a 4-week training program, you can like sneak in a couple of extra weeks of training with those extra reps. Like imagine you were doing 5 a day and then you went to 7 a day. Well, by the end of the month, you've got 8 extra training runs. Like that's almost 2 full days of volume, if you will, which really starts to matter. And again, it might not matter in the session, but now stack up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like what you said, thousands of pounds of reps. That's insane.
Yeah.
Right. And so it helps a lot with that.
Well, but what cracks me up about creatine is that most people think supplements are magic, right? Like if I start taking my protein or my creatine, it's like I'm going to grow muscles overnight, and nothing is that effective. But I mean, there is stuff that's that effective, but it's all on the banned substances list.
Yes.
The creatine is 100% very well studied. We know how it works. We know the effect it has, and that effect is very small. Very slight, but it adds up over time. And it just goes back to that whole notion. Like you got to be patient with this stuff. You got to let your body grow. I mean, muscle cells only divide at such a pace, and you can't accelerate that naturally.
But it's that slight difference. But now there's also all kinds of other stuff coming out about creatine. Like I rely on you for a lot of the science stuff because I'm kind of a meathead. But in general, like hydration, brain health, cellular function, like
the cognitive stuff. And I was just reading about the cognitive stuff because I wasn't I knew that there was a connection, but I didn't know what the mechanism was. But if you think about the brain as just an energy sucking machine, right? Like it takes a lot of energy. Well, guess what? It runs off of the same molecules that like muscles do. It's ATP, right? So we have to be able to replenish that. And having in the brain allows you to basically take spent ATP and revitalize it. And then additionally, it helps carry energy in and out of the cells. And so it gives you more gas and it makes you more efficient at burning it. And so particularly like if you're sleep deprived, if you're neurologically fried from like heavy training sessions,
Yep.
taking creatine has a noticeable cognitive benefit.
And it's funny that you say that, because a bunch of people that I think would have put me on blast for taking creatine, like, I don't want to get bulky. Those are the same people now that are like, I'm taking 10 grams of creatine a day because it helps with my cognitive health. I'm like, whoa, I thought before it would make you like bulky or look like a man or like whatever the thing was. But like genuinely, it's good to see people embrace it because it does help. Now, the efficacious dose is a lot higher than I think we think as well. A lot of people recommend 10 grams a day now, whereas before it was like 5 grams, and that was the magic number. But you take 10 grams. But one of the things I love about it, and here's the other thing. Let's say it really works for you, great. Let's say it doesn't, great. But there's 0 side effects, it's inexpensive, and it's clean. So like my question is, why wouldn't you take it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not pushing a specific brand or anything, but like, why wouldn't you take it if there's literally 0 downside, but all upside? And I feel like you can go to most grocery stores now and get 100 servings of creatine for $19.
Yeah. Like the little pharmacy
100%.
section of a local grocery store is going to have a tub of creatine monohydrate. Like,
yeah. And
done.
I actually did a search on this. Almost all the creatine in the United States is made from one place. So like, I don't think it even matters whether you buy Bucked Up, you buy First Form, you buy, like, you get.
Unless you're buying it from some dude's basement, and then you get what you get.
Right, 100% like micronized creatine, you're getting the thing. So that would be the number one thing that I would recommend.
Yep.
Okay. Number 2, Joe, and I've done this for about a year. I've been taking True Niagen, which has become, someone asked me my supplement program, and I was like, I don't take a lot of supplements. And they're like, can you list all the things you take? And I'm like, creatine, glutamine, multivitamin, I take NAD, I take this, I take that. And they're like, oh, I thought you said you take no supplements. I'm like, well, actually, I think I supplement a lot. But this one for me has been super important. And I actually really got into this. It was actually, I didn't plan to do this, but that preamble I gave about the Ultimate Fighter, that's what drove me to a lot of this stuff. Like, if you want to know where the obsession with, I've sauned my whole life. I've had ice baths my whole life. But like lately, it's become a little obsessive. And I've been trying to do, listen, I'm not trying to pretend I'm 19 again.
Yeah.
But I am into all the anti-aging stuff. I've been doing a ton of research on red light therapy too, which we'll save for another episode, Joe. But I am doing everything I can to turn back the clock, because I realized on that show, like, my reflexes aren't what they used to be. My power is not what it used to be. Around the same time, you've seen me do this in the gym where I do a seated box jump onto a 50-inch box.
Yeah.
There was a time where I would guarantee you for money a 60-inch box. Then there was a time where I would guarantee you money that I can jump on a 50-inch box. These days, dude, it's like 50-50, man. Like I could do it on a good day if I get a good warm-up, if I didn't do too much the day before. But like, it's not a guarantee like it used to be. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, it's not. I watched you at the seminar. What was that, years ago? That was 2016. You pulled 625 or 615 on a deadlift.
Yeah, 615. Yeah,
like,
I went for 630, but I hurt my back.
Right, but like no belt, no stress, no. You were just
picked it up.
Who you were. My question is, could you go do that right now? And in those days, you would be like, absolutely. It's like, at this age, I got to be careful picking up my kids. No, it's not that bad, but you get it. So, long story short, I really got into the anti-aging stuff. That's been like my next. I think there's really something to supporting your body at a cellular level. And we've talked about this before. There's 2 methods of performance. Like, you train for performance, which, great. But how about training for health and building a platform of performance on top of that? Because if you sleep better, if you're more alert, if you have a better immune system, if you have more energy, if you're stronger on a cellular level, like all those things, you in all ways, shapes, and forms should perform better. And I think there's measures of health that we see. Six-pack abs. I'm not saying six-pack abs is healthy, by the way, because I think you could have six-pack abs and be a mess. But those are like the measures of health that like maybe you see. But then what's the stuff that you don't see? And that's at that cellular level.
Yeah.
So basically with this True Niagen, NAD is a molecule that's essential for life. Your body uses it to produce cellular energy, repair cells, manage. I want to say
we mentioned it with the creatine, right? The ATP, right? That we're talking about the ATP that's already there in your system. We're adding creatine to the system so that your body can mobilize more of it. The NAD is where that ATP comes from. It helps convert food into that molecule more efficiently. So you're getting more efficient metabolism, which is going to lead to strength gains, endurance gains, because you're just going to have more gas in the tank. And again, more efficient gas too. It's like rocket fuel compared to like diesel.
And in a way, like, and I'll compare it to protein. We talk about protein for building muscle. But protein's useful in a bunch of biological. How many biological processes happen in the body? A gazillion?
Yeah, at least like, 7.
Like, if you were to ask your chat GPT or whatever, how many different unique biological processes are in the body? I wonder what number it would spit out. Like, I'm actually curious. I bet you it's a lot higher than you think. But so NAD, it helps manage a bunch of these biological processes. So essentially, if you don't have enough NAD plus, your cells can't function properly. They stop working. Now, here's the problem. As you age, especially after age 30, levels start to decline, kind of like testosterone declines, but it can decline up to 65%. So now it can start to impact your recovery, your energy production, how your body responds to metabolic stress. And then the question is, how do you restore it? Like, do you eat an orange? Do you eat you can't restore this stuff through diet and lifestyle alone. So like now I'm trying to replace this stuff that's like the fountain of the youth, but I can't do it through sleep, nutrition, and training. Like it's not enough to offset what like time's taken away from me. So then I started looking into, well, I'm just going to take some NAD and I'll be great. Like I'll be fine. Does that make sense? Problem is, it's not exactly absorbable by your cells. It's too large, and there's no scientific evidence that NAD supplementation can actually increase NAD levels. So I'm like, wow, I just wasted a bunch of money on this. Like, why? Okay. So that's why I use this, because it's an NAD plus precursor. Yeah. It's called nicotinamide riboside. I don't think I said that right.
So I think most of the NAD supplements are.
Yeah. Nicotinamide riboside, right?
Yeah.
And it's the most efficient way to raise your NAD levels. Way more efficient than MNN and other NAD boosters. Mm-hmm. So this is what I went with. It's scientifically proven. It's patented. It's been like tons of published and clinical research trials. All right. It's backed by a Nobel Prize winner. It's supported by hundreds of published studies. Mm-hmm. Every batch, it's like internal and third-party testing for safety and purity. Like generally when I buy into stuff, it's got to be really good stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think with the NAD is kind of newer on the scene. So a lot of the research that's out there, a lot of the trials that have been done are what they say promising. Like we're getting a lot of promising results, but obviously like more will need to be done over time. But so far, it seems like taking the precursors in particular is pretty effective.
Yeah. And for me, Joe, like the way I would wrap that up, it's not about chasing trends. It's about biology, right? Like this is a thing that when I look at that dude that was 27 years old, that was performing at the highest level in the world, my NAD levels at a cellular level were here. Now they're here. I want to get that. Like, I want to get that back. I'm trying to fight that decline because I want to be the person that can go Monday hard, Tuesday hard, Wednesday hard, and all that stuff.
Well, when you like training, when you love movement, you don't like sitting around waiting, like I want to go do stuff. I don't want to be so tired that I can't go do stuff. I just like to be active.
No, and I want stuff that's helping me recover, support cellular energy, stay resilient at 47. It's just another tool to stay performing at a high level. And I don't want to accept, I'm 47, I'm not that guy anymore. You even see, like, do you know how bad Tom Brady wants to play football right now? You can, like, I love it. Like, he's like a role model, but when he's talking in the broadcast booth, it's like he wants to play. He's in the meetings. He's talking to quarterbacks. Like, if he could find a way to play, he is doing it.
Yeah.
So we got creatine, we got NAD, and then let's talk about, because of your climate where you live in the darkest, coldest city
north of the wall,
apart from Siberia. Let's talk about vitamin D, Joe.
Vitamin D. And it's funny because I feel like there is a tie-in across all three of these. Because like we said, creatine supports that ATP usage, right? It gives you that little extra boost in the gas tank. The NAD helps support the creation of the ATP. And then the vitamin D, NAD helps support the creation. Vitamin D actually helps with the conversion of ATP into energy anyway. It helps with mitochondrial health. And as we all know, the mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. It's an internet meme. But it's also helps improve your muscle function and helps maintain your bone density. And it's a funny thing because most people aren't deficient in vitamin D most of the time. But when you're, and this goes to what we've been talking about this whole thing, when you're an athlete, the rules are very different than when they say most people. Because if you're training hard, you are depleting your energy stores. You are maximizing the muscular contractions. You are pushing yourself to your limits. You do end up running out of materials to work with, and you're much more likely to be deficient, or at least on the very low end of the scale. And to the point that you brought up, when you live in northern climates, you don't get the benefit of being able to make your own vitamin D from sunshine, because 3 to 4 months out of the year, the sun is low enough on the horizon that we don't get those UV rays. And so the only way that you can get vitamin D is through nutrition.
Yeah, and I'm glad you went to the northern climate thing, but even take it away from that, let's say the summer, there was a day and age, and I'm not a believer in all things primal, right? Like, I don't think because something was like a certain way 10,000 years ago.
I think there's definitely something to the behavioral aspect of it that does shed light on what we need to do today.
Right, for sure. But here's what I'm saying. Just because something was a certain way 10,000 years ago doesn't mean it has to be that way today. Like, people's life expectancy was like 27. So like, let's not go there. But the human being was meant to be outside.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people, Joe, even in the summer months, that don't see the sun for 3 weeks at a time. Like, look what we're doing right now. We're seated at the desk podcasting. I'm in a basement. You're in a basement. Like, this is what, in our studio, like, there are people that are office workers that are literally, from the time they wake up, from the time they go to bed, they're indoors and they're not getting enough.
Well, even, you leave the house. So you go out into your garage, get in your car, you drive out. Now your car's got windows, but guess what? They're UV tinted windows. And then you get to work, you park, you walk inside, and guess what? All the windows at work are UV tinted. Like, you're not getting exposure to sunlight.
And then you're scared to death of skin cancer. So when you do go out, you take SPF 900 and you create a barrier against the sun. Like, you're bathing yourself in pure zinc, and that's not going to work either.
Yeah.
So for vitamin D, it helps with protein synthesis. It helps with the number and size of type 2 muscle fibers, concentration of ATP, faster recovery, injury prevention, enhanced bone health, boosted immune function, improved aerobic capacity. Like, across the board, it seems like a miracle thing. It helps with testosterone levels. A lot of people have low testosterone, not because they can't produce it, because they don't get enough vitamin D. So vitamin D, you should.
Well, and I would say too, vitamin D, you can overdo it, right?
Yes.
Being deficient is bad. Overdoing it is toxic. It's worse. So what's the solution? One, get your blood levels checked. If you're going in for an annual physical, just ask your doctor, hey, can I get a vitamin D level? And if your level's within those parameters, if you've been supplementing, just keep doing that.
So I used to say, and I don't know if you remember this from the seminars, and that's a decade ago, by the way, when I was teaching all the time, right? And it's funny how much stuff has changed in a decade. I used to say, take 2,000 IUs a day or 10,000 every second day. Those were like the basic two modules that you would use that almost guarantee that you wouldn't go toxic, right?
Yeah.
And the reason I used to recommend that is because blood tests weren't widely available. Like, I shouldn't say widely available, but it involved going to a doctor, trying to ping your insurance, trying to get this thing done. Vitamin D wasn't covered, so you had to pay for that portion out of pocket. Now we live in a day and an age where there's a LabCorp or whoever you use on every corner in every city. And not only that, Joe, there's a lot of services now, and I don't use them, but I should, where you can just get your blood tested at home every day.
Yeah.
Like, you just like prick your finger, you send it in, and it spits out the results like 2 minutes later. Like, it's like insane how much stuff and how like you were talking about the guitar thing. And it's actually really funny because in today's day and age, how much more access you have to science stuff than we did. In 2001, where would you go to find a DEXA scan or a hydrostatic dunk tank for body fat? And where
NASA.
would you go, right, to get like a vitamin D blood test? Like, if such a thing ever existed, I feel like now you can prick your finger and do it in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude, there used to be a day where you had to actually like go to the store and like working hours to get what you needed.
Yeah.
Now you can Amazon a 256 gig micro SD card and it's at your door in 3 hours.
So my robots will deliver them for you.
There's no excuse to not get your blood tested and see where you're at.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting because you don't just do that just for vitamin D. Like, you check a lot of markers in your blood and you can make adjustments based on that.
Yep. And who decided that you could make an argument vitamin D levels may be as important as your cholesterol?
Mm-hmm.
But who decided that that's the only thing? Because you go in for blood tests and your doctor says, oh, your cholesterol's good, you're fine. Yeah. But there's other health markers. So get yourself some creatine, get yourself some vitamin D, get yourself some NAD. If you want a code for the NAD I use in a link, I'll put it in the show notes. So make sure you check that out. We'll also put a couple of recommendations to vitamin D and creatine that we use. And yeah, I really think, Joe, like, I'm glad we're going down this road because I think people need to pay attention to a lot of other things that are beyond the basics that we report on. And there's only so many times we can tell you, eat right, sleep right, work out. And here's one more thing I'll leave you with, Joe. You know what a negative feedback loop is. So here you have these two meatheads that are telling you work out, but you're like, I don't have any energy. How do I work out? Wouldn't the creatine, the vitamin D, and the NAD give you that energy to allow you to work out? Like, there is something to that I'm becoming more and more cognizant of, and I guess open to, with like chicken or egg. Do you work out to get more energy, or do you not have enough energy and then you go work out? Like, I think there's something to that. So
agreed.
There we go. Watch for a lot of this content coming soon. We're going to talk saunas, talk some red light, talk some cold plunges. You're going to be dunking yourself soon. You got a cold plunge on the way, so that'll be good. Yeah, that's it. Maximus Podcast, just real talk from two dudes that love fitness. Subscribe, smash the like button. What do you do on Apple? You get the stuff downloaded on Apple Podcasts, so it automatically downloads.
I don't know how it all works. Just do the stuff.
Yeah. Just like subscribe to everything, and we'll see you next episode.